Hello guys, welcome back to this session. So in today's session, we're going to go ahead and add conversational capabilities to our chatbot. So basically, we have learned all the techniques of document retrieval, basically everything to relate with rag piece. We have done all of that for now. We have got the documents, split document into chunks, create embeddings, create a vector store the embeddings in a vector store. We have gone over document retrieval, right? And then we have been also be able to answer questions based on the retrieved documents. So now what you're going to go ahead and do is add conversational capabilities to our chatbot. So basically, we're going to add conversational capabilities. So one of the abilities of a conversational capability is be able to respond to the user questions, and also it should be able to have memory, right? So for example, if you have a chatbot that you are chatting with and you mention something and it can't remember what you really mentioned, then that conversation will be the most like annoying and boring conversation, right? So basically, we're going to add memory capability to our chatbot so that it can remember what you said previously. So it doesn't if you ask a question that is based on the previous question, it doesn't go ahead and start wondering and giving you uh, awful results, right? So now you're going to go ahead and do that. You're going to add the conversational capabilities. After that, you're going to go ahead and build the Streamlit UI, and then you have a complete working chatbot as we saw at the beginning of the video. So now let's get started with it. So I'm just going to go back in here into my VS Code where we left off from last time. I'm going to go ahead in here and I'm going to go ahead and create a folder. I'm going to call this folder, I can call it anything you want. You can just say I'm going to call it adding conversational conversational chain. Okay, chain. Okay, let me get the spelling right. So chain. And in here, I'm going to go ahead and add the file. I'm going to call this one main.py. Okay, so something like that. And in here, I'm going to have a couple of things. So I think I can get some imports from here so that you don't spend a lot of time, waste a lot of time. So I'm going to copy this, copy this and move in here and simply paste it in here. That's all. And then I'm also going to go ahead. Yeah, that's all we need for now. I also need the embedding function right here. I'm going to copy that as well. In fact, yeah, that's all I need. I can also copy this, but for now, let me just copy this right here, the embedding function, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it right here. So good, we have all that done. Now let's go ahead and load in our vector store. Now I'm going to go ahead and we can start working with this vector store that is created based on the rich.po.pdf document. I'm going to be using that vector store, which is this one right here. Okay, so let me show you how to load an existing vector store, because we made our vector store to be persistent. So all the previous information has been saved into the database, basically the vector store. Now you're simply going to load it into memory. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say vector db. I can call it vector db, and it's going to be equals to, it's in chroma. Let me get the spelling of chroma right. So chroma, and in here you're going to go ahead, chroma, and in here you're going to go ahead and pass in. I'm going to say persistent underscore directory is going to be equals to our persistent directory, which is going to be where this directory is. So we're going to move one directory back, because we are currently in here. You're going to move one directory back to be in the root directory, and you're going to go ahead and access vector db. So I'm going to say vector underscore db there. So that's all we need to do. And then, so once we have that specified, I'm going to go ahead and also add in collection name. So I'm going to say collection underscore name is going to be equals to a string value. So what collection name do we want to use? So I'm going to go open this, and I'm going to use this collection name right here, rich.product. I'm going to copy that, close this, and go back and paste it in here. So rich.product, which is the name of the collection that we gave it at the point of creating that collection. And then I'm going to go ahead and pass in the embedding function. Basically, an embedding function is going to be equals to embedding function that we have up here. So that's it. So that's all I want to do. So that's going to load in the vector database, which is going to be the vector store of the book rich.product. Okay, so once we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and we can begin to create the conversational capability. So I'm going to create an LLM, and it's going to be equals to a chat, basically a chat open AI. And you're going to go ahead and pass in a couple of things. You're going to pass in the open AI API key, and the API key you're going to say config. You're going to go and use decouple to load in our environment variable. We call this one open AI underscore API underscore key, just like that. We load that in, and you can also specify the temperature if you want. You can say temperature, this is all lowercase, so temperature, okay, and temperature you can go ahead and say, let's say 0.5, okay, or 0.6. Okay, so we have the temperature right there. So now once I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and now create a memory, because our chatbot needs to remember the conversation that you're having with it. So we need to import the memory right here. You're going to use the conversational buffer memory. So let's go ahead and have that imported. So I'm going to go in here and say from LangChain.memory, I'm going to go ahead and import conversational buffer memory. So conversational buffer memory, there are different types of memories, and if you guys want me to make a video about the different types of memories, because they're very crucial in LangChain, so if you want me to make a video on that, let me know in the comment section below. So when we say memory is going to be equals to conversational buffer memory, and in here you're going to go ahead and pass in a couple of things. So I'm going to go ahead and say return messages. You're going to say that to be true, okay? And you're also going to go ahead and pass in the memory key. Memory key is going to be called, we're going to call memory key chat underscore history, just like that, okay? So that's all we need to do. And now once you have the memory, I'm going to go ahead now create the conversational retrieval chain. So we need to import a couple of things to have this class imported in here. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to say from LangChain.chains, I'm going to import the conversational retrieval chain. So I'm going to say from LangChain.chains, I'm going to go ahead and import the conversational retrieval chain. So once I have that, I'm going to go down here, and I'm just going to say QA underscore chain is going to be equals to the conversational retrieval chain. So I'm going to go ahead and say the conversational retrieval chain, and in here I'm going to go ahead and specify a couple of things. I say LLM, and the LLM is going to be equals to our LLM that we created, basically, and you're passing the memory, and the memory is going to be the memory that we just also created above, and also going to pass in the retriever. So let me say retriever, and the retriever is going to be equals to our vector underscore db, which is what we loaded, basically what we loaded in there. You're going to say as retriever, that's it. And you can also pass in a couple of arguments if you want to. So you can also pass in the search underscore quags. The search quags is going to be equals to a Python dictionary. You can go specify the fetch underscore k, okay, and you're going to say it's going to be equals to 4. You're going to say k is going to be, sorry, this is going to be a key, so k is going to be equals to 3. That's it. And you can also specify the search type. So search underscore type, and the search type, we're going to say search type is going to be equals to MMR. So this is going to be a string of MMR. And we talk about MMR, basically maximum marginal relevance. And we talk about all this in the other videos, other sections. So you can check out those other sections where we talk about this MMR. Okay. So once we have that, I'm going to go ahead and specify one more thing. I'm going to specify the chain underscore type, and the chain type, we're going to use the refine chain type. So refine, just like that. Okay. So that's all we need to do, and I'm going to go ahead and save this right here. So once I have that saved, I'm going to go ahead and create a question that you want to ask our boss. So we say question is going to be equals to a string, and we're going to ask what is the book about. So it should give us a summary of what the book is about, just a brief idea of what the book is about, right? So we have that there. I'm going to say store the response in a variable called response, and it's going to be equals to QA underscore chain, and we pass in the query, basically the question rather. So question, and the question is going to be equals to the question that we have above there. So question, okay. So once you have that done, I'm going to go ahead and simply print out the response. Sorry, just move this out of the way. So response, we print the response out. So response, you go ahead and simply say get. It's a dictionary, so we're going to get the answer part of that dictionary. So you can actually print out the whole dictionary and see all the things that you get back. Okay. So basically, going to return to you a lot of things. Okay. Basically, what I want is just the answer. Okay. So you can print out the dictionary, just print out this part, like print out only the response, and you should see that whole dictionary. Okay, without using the get method to get only a specific key of that dictionary. But basically, I'm just going to print out the specific key. So once we have that done, I'm going to go back into my terminal. I'm going to go in here. So sorry, in here. This is what we are working with. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and change directory in back, and I'm going to change directory into adding, and then ls here. So I'm going to simply say python 3 main.py and then run that. So this is going to run, and it's going to go ahead and answer the question that we basically ask our bot. So it's going to take a bit of time because you're using the ML, you have to make a request to the OpenAI models and then get the results back. So it's going to take a bit of time depending on how fast your internet or how much traffic is on the OpenAI website. So we got an error right here, and let's see what we got. So it says 4 valid errors for conversational chain, combined docs, required field. We have a value error, question generator, chain type. Okay, so let's go ahead and check out this and see where I have made a mistake. Okay, so we say chain type is refine. Good. And we pass in the retriever, and this is gonna be the retriever quarks fetch. Okay, and then search type is gonna MMR, and then memory we pass in the memory and also the chain. So one thing I forgot right here. So it's gonna say this from underscore underscore LLM. Okay, that's what we need to do for this to work. So once I have that done, go back in here and then let me rerun that code again. So let's see what response we get back. So hopefully I do not have any typos this time around. Okay, so let's wait and see what response I get back. Yeah, so you can see I got the response back here. The book Rich Dad Poor Dad's advice. So you got the name of the book wrong. Actually, the book is Rich Dad Poor Dad, but it's calling the book Rich Dad Poor Dad's advice. It's okay. Okay. It's about the author's personal journey and the advice he received from his rich dad, who had a different perspective on education and financial success. The book explores the mental, emotional, and educational process the author went through in following his rich dad's advice. Okay, so it is primarily aimed at individuals who are currently in the employer and self-employed category and are considering transferring to the business owner or an investor. Okay, so you can see it gives us a brief summary of what the book Rich Dad Poor Dad is about, and I've read the book a couple of times, so this information is absolutely true. Good. So now our conversation capability is done, so that's good. So good. So that's how you can go ahead out adding a conversational retrieval chain with memory to be able to interact with your vector store. Okay. So once you have done that, now let's go ahead and look at building the Streamlit component on it. So we're going to go ahead and build a Streamlit application that's going to house the chatbot. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. So before we get started, I want to install a couple of things. Let me just change directory back. Let me just create a folder in here. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this one chatbot. And then in here, I'm going to navigate into the chatbot folder. Okay. And I'm going to do a pip install or pip3, whatever you use, pip3 install Streamlit. Okay. So Streamlit and press enter. And that's going to go ahead and have Streamlit installed. I think we already installed it in the other when we're installing all the libraries, but just run again Streamlit, pip install Streamlit to make sure that Streamlit is installed. Okay, so once that's done, I'm going to go back in here. And once I'm in, I'm going to create two folders in here, two files rather. So one is going to be called rag underscore functionality dot py. Okay, I'm going to call another one. I'm going to call another one app.py. So app.py is what is going to host the Streamlit component interface, and the rag piece part is what is going to host the rag piece functionality. Okay, so I got confused, distracted by creating this file. Okay, so the app file is going to host the Streamlit components, and then the rag file is going to host the functionality. So I'm going to go in here where we have the rag piece, and I'm going to go ahead and copy everything from here, move it in here, paste it in here. So now we're going to convert one of these into a function. So I'm going to go, I said, def. I'm going to call this one rag underscore func. Okay, so function is going to take in a question. So user question is going to be of type a string, str, and you're going to go ahead and return a string response. So we're going to return a string at the end of the day. Okay, and let me have all these things indented. Okay, so now I'm going to remove this question part. I don't need it. So I'm going to go ahead and pass in the question. So it's going to be question, just like that. And yeah, that's it. And finally, you're going to go ahead and return a response. So we're going to say return, and then you're going to return this right here. Okay, so that's all we need to do. And you can basically also add a doc string to this one to give a documentation. So this function takes in user question or prompt and returns a response. Okay, and let's see what parameters we need. So the parameters we need for this is going to be param. You're going to do a parameter called question, and this is going to be a string, a value of the question or the prompt. Okay, so prompt from the user. That's it. You're also going to have a return type. So returns, and what is it going to return? Is going to return to us a string value of the answer to the user question. That's it. Okay, so that's all I basically want to do, and I can just okay, let me just keep this right here, and that's it. Okay, so that's all I want to do, and that's all we need for this. Okay, now let's go ahead and write the UI component. We're going to use Streamlit. So I'm going to say from, but basically import Streamlit as a st. You're going to go ahead and set the initial message. You're going to go ahead and say if you're going to check if messages in st dot if messages okay if messages not in st the streamlit dot session session underscore state, right? You're going to check if stream is not in the session state dot keys, right? Because it's going to be a session state, going to be a list of dictionaries. So checking if the message key is going to be in there. If it's not, you're going to go ahead and create a session state for that. So I'm going to say a session. Okay, let me get the spelling right. So session session state. You're going to go ahead and say, you can use a dot and say messages equals to, and you can add the messages right here. That's one way of doing it. Or you can also go ahead and use the square bracket form. You can say messages is going to be equals to this, and it's going to be a list of dictionaries. So the first one is going to be role, and role is going to be assistant, basically our chatbot assistant. And then finally, you're going to pass in the content. The content is what the chatbot is going to go ahead and say. You're going to say hello there. How can I help you today? Just like that. Okay, it's gonna be a question. So that's all I want to do. So that's all for setting the initial message. Now I'm going to go ahead and display the messages. So go ahead and display messages. So when you check if messages in streamlit.session underscore the streamlit.session.keys, right? If keys is in there, what you're going to go ahead and do, we're going to say for message in streamlit.session underscore state dot keys session state dot messages, sorry, dot messages, right? You're going to get each message. I'm going to display it on the screen. So I'm going to say streamlit dot chat underscore message. You're going to go ahead and pass in the role. So message, the role is going to be message, and then finally say role, just like that. And you're going to go ahead and do the following. So you're going to say streamlit dot write. You're going to go ahead and write the message, and then finally pass in the content of that message. That's all I want to do. Okay, so I hopefully I have no typos in there. So message, and everything gets displayed fine. Okay, good. So once I have that in there, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and you can even run the app to see if this works. Okay, so now this should be able to display the message onto the screen. So I'm going to simply do a streamlit run app.py, and this is going to run it on our browser. So once you have this run, you can just go ahead and click Control and then click on this, or you can simply copy this and paste it in your browser. And you can go, once you have it in the browser, it's opened up. You can say, hello there, how can I help you today? So that's basically the message that we get back right from our assistant. Now, good, we are displaying the messages, and also now let's give the user the ability to be able to type in a list of messages. So I'm going to say user underscore prompt is going to be equals to st.chat underscore input, just like that, to get the user input. So if you go down here, if you also go ahead and click on always rerun to always rerun, now you can see you have it input right here. So hello there, right? Good. So now that's working. So now what we're going to do is now take the user input and now add it to a list of messages that are currently being displayed. So the way you do that, you're going to go down here and simply say the following. So I'm going to say if user underscore prompt, if user prompt is not none, if the user prompt is not none, what you're going to do, we're going to say sc.session underscore session underscore state dot messages dot append. You're going to go ahead and append a list of messages. You're going to append a list of messages in here, and this is going to be basically another dictionary, because you can see right here this is going to be a list. You're simply adding in dictionary. So I can even copy this right here and then replace this with it. So the role is now going to be the role is going to be user, and then now the content is going to be the user prompt, right? What the user typed in. So it's going to be user underscore prompt. That's it. So once I have it done, that's basically the code, how it looks like. Okay, and you can break this onto multiple lines if you want to. Okay, so that's it. Break this into multiple lines. So yeah, that's it. So you can see it right there. So we have the role and the content. So the role is going to be the user, and then the content is going to be what the user typed in right here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and now write whatever the user typed onto the script. So we're going to say with streamlit dot chat message, so dot chat underscore message. You're going to go ahead and pass in the role. The role is going to be simply user. You're going to simply write in the user message. So streamlit dot write I'm going to write in the user underscore prompt right there. So once I have that done, I can go in here and let's say refresh this to make sure we have the updated one. Okay, so once it's running, I'm going to go there and say hello there and then run. Okay, so now we have the message hello there from the user. Good. So once we have that done, we are good to go. So what I want to go ahead and do next is simply get the user, passing the user prompt into our RAG piece and then get back a response. So I'm going to go down here and we say if Streamlit.session session state dot messages, and I'm going to go ahead and get the very last message. If the last message, we're going to go ahead and get the role of the last message. You're going to check if the role is not equals to that of the assistant. What you're saying, going to go ahead and you're going to go ahead and do the following. So you can say with streamlit dot chat underscore message. So chat message, you're going to go ahead and specify the role as assistant. And then what you're simply going to go ahead and do is the following. You say with streamlit.spinner, you're going to pass in a spinner right here, spinner, and the spinner is going to simply display the text of loading, just like that. Okay, and you're going to go ahead and simply pass in the following. Say AI underscore response is going to be equals to the RAG piece. And you're going to pass call the RAG. I think you have to import it right here. So I'm going to import from RAG functionality. I'm going to import the RAG function, right? So I'm going to simply call the RAG function right here. So it's RAG function, and I'm going to go ahead and pass in the user underscore prompt right there. So the user prompt, and it's going to return to us the response of the conversational chain. You're going to simply write it onto the screen. So you're going to simply say you're going to write the AI response right there. So that's all. So basically, get the last message, check if the last message role is not assistant, check if the role of the last message is not that of the assistant. Then you're going to go ahead and say create a message of assistant. You're going to say with create a spinner to indicate that it's loading, because this can take a bit of time to get back a response. So you're going to create a spinner indicating that it is loading, and finally you get the response back. You write it onto the screen. Right now, we want to add in this message that you wrote into the screen onto. And the reason why we're adding the spinner is to indicate that it is loading, because this can take a bit of time to load in the user response. So once you get the AI response, or the response of the conversational chain. So once you get the response of the conversational chain, you're going to go ahead and write it onto the screen. Right. So once you write onto the screen, you're going to go ahead and add it into the list of messages that we have for this session. So we're going to say create a dictionary right here, and I'm going to paste the content right here. It's going to be a list. So the content is going to be equals to now the AI underscore response, and then now the role is going to be from the assistant. Yeah, the role is going to be from the assistant. Okay, let me just bring this all the way. Let me just cut it from here. Control and X, and then Control and V to paste it right there. So the role is going to be that of the assistant. The content is going to be the AI response, and if I'm going to go ahead and add it to our session state. So session underscore state dot messages dot append, because the session state message is going to be a list, so we're going to append simply the new AI message to it. So that's all we need to do, and let's have that saved, and let's check if it's running. It is running. So let's go back in here and click on always rerun. Okay, we have an error right here, so it says message. Let me just say go back in here. I think the error should be those messages session state dot messages. Yeah, those messages right here. So this is gonna be messages. Okay, so once you have that done, let me click on always rerun again, and let's see if this works this time around. So it works perfectly. Let me just go ahead and say tell me a summary about the book. So basically now you can see the indicator is loading. This is making indicating that now you're being conversational chain is running, and is being able to generate, is trying to generate a summary of this book. So it's going to take a bit of time to get this done, because a lot of documents have to be passed, and a lot of requests have to be made to the OpenAI APIs, and then finally get the response back. Okay, so it might take a bit of time. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slow, depending on the speed on the AI website, the OpenAI API website. So you can see we have the response back here. Okay, so Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now it got the name of the book right correctly. So congratulations, at least you have a bit of improvement. Yeah, so you can see it also says the book by Robert Kiyosaki, which is absolutely correct. The author of the book is Robert Kiyosaki. So you can see Rich Dad Poor Dad is a personal finance book that explores an author's upbringing and the constraining financial lessons he learned from it to that, right? Two fathers, right? You can see that's absolutely correct. So chapter one introduces the reader to the author's two fathers, his biological father, poor dad, and his best friend's father, rich dad, who had a different approach to money. So basically, you can see throughout the book, the author shares various lessons such as the importance of not working for money and making money work for you, right? That's lesson one, right? Do not work for money, make money work for you. There's the significance of financial literacy and why it should be taught, right? That's lesson two. And the idea of minding your own business and building assistance, build and building assets, lesson three. The book also delves into the history of taxes, the power of corporations, and how rich invest money. Lesson 5 and 4. It emphasizes the importance of continuous learning and acquiring new skills. Lesson 6. Improving guidance on overcoming obstacles and starting and getting started on the path to financial independence. The financial chapter offers additional steps and recommendations for those who want to know further. They recognize the concept discussed in the book, chapter 9, and concludes with the author's final thoughts. The final thoughts. The overall research report aims to challenge conventional wisdom about money and provide readers with insight and principles to help them achieve financial success and independence. So that's basically the book on Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that's just an excellent summary. Having been a person who read this book 2 times, right? I read this book twice, so this is really an absolutely accurate summary. I can't ask for a better summary than this, right? So yeah, that's basically it. And now that I can build a chatbot again, you can ask it to explain to you different stuff. So you can even test out its memory. Okay. So okay, let's ask it. Can you explain to me more about lesson one? Okay. Uh, great. Explain more about. Let me try to zoom in so that you guys can see this a bit clearer. So let me just say, great. Explain about lesson one. Okay, and let's see what it gets back. So it will now give us an explanation on what was said during lesson one in the book. So lesson one basically mentioned that lesson one, making money work for you and don't work for money. So that's what is said in lesson one. So let's explain more on that for us and let's see what the response we get back. So basing on his memory, basically his ability to remember things, he should now be able to remember what he said about lesson one. So lesson one in the book is not explicitly mentioned in the provided context, but we can still provide a more detailed explanation of lesson one based on the overall themes and ideas presented in the book. Lesson one in the research report that involves around the idea of not of idea that traditional education often fails to provide individuals with the necessary financial intelligence to succeed in the real world. The author's experience, as described in the provided context, highlights these points. The author and his best friend Mike found good, and in the book Robert Kiyosaki also mentioned his best friend Mike, so that's absolutely correct. Well, this is really great. Found themselves this I don't know what is this with the education system. They witnessed their friend's father, who had left school at 13, the age of 13, achieving financial success throughout his own thinking and financial education. They spent hours sitting in on meetings with various professionals and learn more from those experiences they had in school. So this lesson emphasizes the importance of financial education and thinking independently rather than uh, following the crowd, right? The authors encounters the teachers and who dismissed the significance of money and discouraged questioning the capability of their studies in the real world uh, world rather solidify their beliefs that school primarily provides employees rather than entrepreneurs or business owners. In lesson one, the book encourages leaders to recognize the limitations of traditional education and seek financial advice outside of the classroom. This emphasizes the need to develop financial independence, learn about money, and surround themselves with knowledgeable individuals to succeed financially. So yeah, that's basically it. And basically, lesson one, to be more precise, lesson one basically gives lessons about not working for money. Don't work for money, right? That's the first lesson in the book. In the book Rich Dad Poor Dad is do not work for money. I think that's the first lesson, if I remember clearly. Do not work for money. Let money work for you. Yeah, so I think that's, I can even confirm from there if this website just loads. Okay, so the first lesson, chapter 1, says the rich don't work for money. That's the first lesson. Okay, so that's basically precise. So you can see that even the AI, it didn't give us a good summary on that one to mention. It can even say that if the context provided doesn't give it much of information. So in this case, you might want to tweak around with the retrieval method and also the basically the refine method to be able to answer it. I think the refine method works fine. So you can see it kind of give us an idea of what the book is about in general, but not specifically lesson 1, which is they do not work for money. Let money work for you, right? So you can try to play around with the retrieval method, which is gonna be if I go back right here, the retrieval method right here, right? You can play around with the retrieval method using MMR. You can use other things like self query, contextual compression, and try to techniques to retrieve good documents to be able to answer that question, right? Yeah, so that's basically it for this part of the video. And we have basically built a simple chatbot based on that information right there. Okay, so I hope you found this helpful. And if you have any questions on how to build a chatbot, or you want me to make further videos explain things in deeper concept, let me know in the comment section below. I'll do my best to get back to you. Thank you guys for watching so much, and see you in the next video. Again, if you want to support the channel, you can buy me coffee. All the money is going to be used into investing into the creating better content for you guys. So if you want, the link is going to be in the description of the video. Again, all the resources in the GitHub folders and the GitHub repository is going to be in the video description as well. So guys, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Keep safe.